Our next performer is one of those people about whom everyone says he needs no introduction, but I'll do a little one anyhow. It's kind of funny to me that a lot of people see Gamble Rogers as only a storyteller. And while he's a wonderful storyteller, he's also a great folk singer and a flat-out fabulous guitar picker. And just as a personal note, I'm really glad to see that lately, the times I've seen Gamble, he's been doing a lot more picking, too, along with the storytelling and folk singing. I'm really glad to see that. And so we don't need much more introduction than that. I'd like you to meet Ocklawaha County's favorite son, Gamble Rogers.
The skies turned dark as night. Yes, it rained 5 days and the skies turned dark as night. Trouble was taking place in that lowland that night. Yes, they rowed a little boat 5 miles across the pond. Packed my things and put them in it, Lord, they rolled me along. And I went and I stood up on a high old lonesome hill. Everything I do tonight I learned at the Terminal Tavern. The Terminal Tavern is a skull orchard. A skull orchard's a kind of a place where when you go in at the door they search you to see if you got a knife or a gun. If you ain't got one, they give you one. Stood up on a high old lonesome hill. Yes, I went and I stood up on a high old lonesome hill. Looked down upon the place, darling, where I used to live. Backwater blues got my things and gone. Backwater blues got my things and gone. You know my house fell down, I can't live there no more. Well, now the smartest man where I come from is named Agamemnon Jones. He say, I get downright tired of the way all these intellectual folks take a simple idea and turn it into something complicated. Take the idea of love. Love. All these college professors talking about love, they have to be too categorical and abstract, talking about different types of love. Patriarchal love, matriarchal love, connubial love, conjugal love, carnal love, filial love, spiritual love, uxorious love. In the real world, there's just two kinds of love. There's love and there's love. Now that's what you call down-home metaphysics. To study down-home metaphysics, you got to go to a primitive place. I'll be talking about a place tonight so primitive we got a rabbi named Bubba. I ain't talking about Snipes Ford. I'm talking about all the way up the Ocklawaha River to Bean Creek. They're so primitive in Bean Creek, they ain't even got an alphabet. They want to write something down, they draw pictures, and I submit to you that a symbolic alphabet is the cornerstone of communication. In Bean Creek, the word for a house is a square, the perfect symbol of habitation, 4 walls. Their word for woman, a circle, the earth, the Mother Earth. Their word for man is a straight line, a reed in the wind. Thus, when they express a concept in Bean Creek, such as home, they draw a square containing a circle and a straight line. Their word for trouble is a square with a straight line and 2 circles inside. Now, you learn your ABCs in a language like that, and you have flat learned something. You have learned, as John Tower recently said to Senator Sam Nunn, son, you have just got to understand there are some driveways in this life a man's got to come down out of with his lights off. Size, loaded for my size. Gone on the mountain, see my baby ain't coming back. No, I ain't coming back. Roll on, buddy, pull a load of coal. How can I pull when the wheels won't roll? Roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I pull when the wheels won't roll? My youngest cousin was named Shelby 3. A name like that tells you 3 things out front. He was a Republican, an Episcopalian, and an overachiever. Christmas of his 10th year, Shelby 3 was presented with a Daisy Red Ryder lever-action BB gun. What do you suppose a 10-year-old overachiever is going to do to prove himself with his first BB gun? He went on out Redbug Road all the way to the ex-governor Arundel Estate, where on the riverside of the property lies a cow pasture, which contains, among other things, a latticed Victorian gazebo and a 2,400-pound Brahma bull. Shelby 3 took careful aim with his new weapon and shot that bull squarely in the pendulant seat of his sovereignty, causing him straightway to levitate, to loom terrifically above the tree line, and then trumpeting like the avenging angel of doom, to clatter up along the fenceway to where the strands of barbed wire were clenched into the corner boards of the Bean Creek Baptist Church. Inside the sanctuary at this precise point in time, the Right Reverend Jeremiah Proudfoot stood forth, delivering his direful prognostication concerning the awful reality of the beast of the apocalypse. By the time Arundel Bull had torn the 5th plank of clapboard off the altar wall of the sanctuary, they had more pilgrims come to the rail in earnest solicitation of spiritual salvation than in the entire prior history of the fellowship. Hallelujah. Amen. It's a long way to Harlem, long way to Hazard, just to get a little brew, to get a little brew. When I'm long gone, make my tombstone out of number 9 coal, out of number 9 coal. After this incident down at the Baptist Church in Bean Creek, all of the philosophers who hung around discoursing on metaphysics at the loading ramp of the local Purina store began to refer to my youngest cousin as the conversion factor. A ponderous moniker, to be sure, but a nickname much loved by my youngest cousin because it was earned and not handed down. The first person I ever heard tickle the strings of this old Spanish guitar was my own daddy. It was a rainy day. I was 4.5 years old or so, and my mama followed him all around the house saying, "Come on, get out your old 6-string and play those party songs you used to titillate the folks with so many years ago at Dartmouth College." He said, "I don't believe I want to do that." But later on, when the sun was tucked conspiratorially over the yard arm and he was primed with a highball or two, while he knelt by the edge of the bed and drew forth from beneath it a beguiling casement with an alligator texture and silver clasps, and he set it upon the coverlet, canted back the lid, and drew forth from its bed of plush an instrument which was in a collection of rosewood and ebony and ivory and mother of pearl, and he sat then and with his artist's hands addressed those strings of silver and drew forth profundity. So much so that this moment shines ever in my memory as a hinge point of my own experience. Ah, my daddy is a fine artist, and the music he played in that bygone time an enduring enchantment. But the thing that made me really want to take up this old guitar and sing was the way my mama looked at my daddy when he played that thing. And he played just like this. Six white horses going 2 by 2. 6 white horses going 2 by 2. Well, woman, I love done got some man and gone. Never miss your water till your well runs dry. Never miss your water till your well runs dry. And you never miss your woman until she say goodbye. Love you, little mama, I hate your dirty way. Love you, pretty mama, I hate your dirty way. Well, this time, little darling, I'm going away to stay. Don't you roll so slow? How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Here's one of those songs that my daddy sang to make my mama's eyes color up. Two little boys had two little toys, each had a wooden horse. Gaily they'd play each summer's day, warriors bold, of course. One little chap had a mishap, broke off his horse's head, wept for his toy, then cried for joy when he heard his brother say, do you think I could leave you crying when there's room on my horse for you? So climb up here, Jack, stop the crying, we'll mend your horse with glue, and when we grow up we'll both be soldiers, our horses will not be toys, and then perhaps we'll remember when we were just two little boys. And war came at last, bravely they marched away, where the cannon roared loud, in that wild crowd where wounded and dying Joe lay. Then came a cry, a rider dashed by, out of the ranks of the blue, and he galloped away to where Joe lay, and he heard his brother say, you dying when there's room on my horse for you. So climb up here, Joe, and we'll soon be flying back to the boys in the blue. Can't you see, Jack, I'm all a tremble? It may be the flash and the noise, or it may be because I remember when we were just two little boys. be about 16 years of age, a certain blue chip element in Ocklawaha County would always say to us, for God's sake, don't go down to that Terminal Tavern. It's a skull orchard. But we went anyhow. Me and Hutto and Hilo and Still Bill and Shelby 3 and as many as 8 others all shoehorned into a shackle block Chevrolet. Car so sorry you had to be going 60 miles an hour to get the headlights to come on. All the way out to the Terminal Tavern. Oh, you got as many as 11 Christian souls shoehorned into that Detroit iron. Every man jack-up can pick the flat-top box. But they can't play but one song amongst the whole lot of them. You got it, Jack. That's Downwind Dave picking up the front seat. Penrod says, pass that get box back here, I'll show you how it's done. All right, Penrod. All right, this is hard part. Well, Penrod's a little bit flaky tonight. He's been into the sauce again. Well, if he gets too drunk to pick the box, we'll just let him drive the automobile. Absolutely no social consciousness back in 1955. Shelby 3 says, pass it back here now, boys, let me try. He was the youngest. Always tried the hardest. Look here. Turn on the radio and let Chet pick. Well, now you always knew you were getting close to the Terminal Tavern if you had a headwind. It being right across Red Bug Road from the Maitland Turkey Farm and all. Most exciting thing ever to happen around the turkey farm involved the aforementioned Hutto, my best friend in high school. Pulled up adjacent to the teeming turkey pens on the eve of Thanksgiving, leaned ardently forth from his rusted chariot, blew 3 shrill toots on a tin-plated police whistle, causing the somnolent and semi-comatose birds amassed there in holiday profusion to rouse themselves, poking their heads up periscope-wise to investigate the source of the disturbance, whereupon our emerging civil servant leaned forth from his rusted chariot with an unplugged J.C. Higgins 10-gauge goose gun, with which he summarily slew 497 birds. And this was referred to thereafter by the chroniclers of our community destiny as the Great Maitland Turkey Farm Massacre, 1953. Dear people, you have got to understand what it was like to serve a 20-year apprenticeship in a place like the Terminal Tavern. To have one's very existence compassed by those walls of pecky cypress and pine wood. Walls adorned with frontier memorabilia, mint condition tire tool collections, Levy County license tag collections, glutinous spirals of flypaper dangling down, barnacled with chittering bats, straining my patrician sensibilities through that veil of chicken wire, wearing a winter weight herringbone tweed ankle-length overcoat. Summer and winter, windows barred and shuttered, no AC, herringbone tweed's what you want to wear if you're working behind chicken wire. Chicken wire's fine against the occasional thrown bob, But if some yahoo pulls down on you an AK-47 and you're wearing herringbone tweed behind chicken wire, you have got two options. You can move a quarter of an inch to the right or a quarter of an inch to the left, and you'll flat-ass disappear. A cabaret on the highway, you know the time is 10 till 2. A little waitress at my table, a pretty waitress at my table. She say, what can I do for you? Oh baby, you know I'm so lonely and my mind is ill at ease. I need a woman to love me. But honey, if you cannot love me, then Jack Daniels, if you please. Whiskey and water, whoa, whiskey and water, yes, yes, yes. Here's to fear, pain, and sorrow, Jack Daniels, if you please. Gentry, you know I fell way down upon my knees. Maggie, darling, I need some loving. Ooh, deep, deep down in my dark old soul, won't you set my mind at ease? She said, oh baby, you know I'm gonna love you, so lay your head down across my knees. I'm gonna kiss you and I'll caress you. Oh, but honey, there's just one thing I ask you for first. What's that now, mama? Jack Daniels, if you please. Whiskey and water, whoa, whiskey and water. Here's to fear and pain and sorrow, Jack Daniels, if you please. And at the Terminal Tavern every night it was boogie music. Boogie music! You're looking at somebody who was born under the sign of boogie fever. In fact, I played a pretty mean boogie on this old axe of mine. I want the way Snake Walker John played the boogie. He'd come out there, those saxophones wailing, those drum pounding, those basses throbbing, those chick singers wailing. He would commence to abuse the equipment. He'd go, huh. They go, huh. He'd go, huh. They go, huh. He'd go, please, please, please. And they'll go crazy. And he would go. College, and you may go to school. Well, you may drive a pink Cadillac, don't you be nobody's fool. Baby, come back, baby, no. Come back, baby, no. Well, come back, baby, I want to play house with you. Well, come back, baby, I want to play house with you. Play house now, baby. me, baby. Try and understand. I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with old Snake Walker working out there. A young woman, John Mama say, "Stop it, Snake Walker, I can't stand it." He redoubled his efforts, and she took off running wild out through the room, ran slap into the wall, and knocked herself out. Buddy, that's boogieing. Instantly, I seized upon the inherent potential of this particular art form. And I boogied diligently. Please, please. I never could achieve the same results with my boogie that Snake Walker done with his. Best I ever did was to get 2 college boys to throw up in my guitar case at a fraternity party. Then one time, I'm knocking around in front of John Gentili's pawn shop. This scabrous derelict comes creeping out of the alley, dragging a split Gibson. He was the most scrofulous-looking human baggage I have ever encountered. He looked like the high priest of penicillin abuse. I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Baby, I'm the Boogie Man." I said, "Child, baby, I'm a Boogie Man too." He said, "Shh." Then he choked down on those old rusty Black Diamond drugstore guitar strings of his. And a sound something like this emanated from his bottom. I was walking down the street, trying awful hard to meet a likely stranger with some bread. I knew I was a-gonna when the cop on the corner hollered, "Freeze, hands on your head." Well, I hadn't tried to hide all the rings and things inside of my coat. It was too late. They threw me in the slammer in the usual manner. My story didn't make them hesitate. I said I was making money for my honey, trying to keep her right. She used to have a name and an awful lot of fame as the 8th Avenue Delight. Well, then the judge looked down at me. He said, "Son, it's plain to see the circumstance of your romance. 'Cause even while we're talking, we both know she's out there walking up and down 8th Avenue. Yes, but any friend of hers is a friend of mine, 'cause we go back a long, long. It all just goes to show it isn't who you are, it's who you know. You're free to go. Making money for my honey, sing it. Money for my honey. Trying to keep her right. She used to have a name and an awful lot of fame as the 8th Avenue Delight. This music I've been playing ain't nothing in the world but just the old talking blues. The original talking blues, as articulated by Robert Lund, star of the Grand Ole Opry from West by God, Virginia. Nothing much to this except to keep a straight face while you rhyme all sorts of Arcadian inanities over 3 chords, played slow on a guitar, just like this. Now you can do the talking blues. All you got to do is repeat after me. If you want to get to heaven, I'll tell you what to do.
If you want to get to heaven, I'll tell you what to do.
You got to grease your feet in some mutton stew.
You got to grease your feet in some mutton stew.
And slide out of the devil's hand.
Slide out of the devil's hand.
And ooze over to the promised land. Let the rough end ride and the slick end slide. Now that's Ocklawaha County laissez-faire I'm talking about. Ocklawaha County laissez-faire is a sophisticated metaphysical mindset. It means being born with the ineffable and complete knowledge that it's always easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission. Ocklawaha County laissez-faire means knowing in your heart that right-of-way is a function of mass times velocity. Hey, hey, hey. In 1967, the county commissioners of Old Ocklawaha unanimously voted to convert the county jail into a time-sharing condominium. Ocklawaha County laissez-faire. Meanwhile, back at the Terminal Tavern, they all said Louise was not half bad. It was written on the walls and window shade. And how should I, little girl, it deceive her, don't believe her, that's her trade. Sometimes a bottle of perfume, flowers and maybe some lace. Men brought Louise 10-cent trinkets. The intentions were easily traced. Everybody knew at times she cried, but women like Louise, they get by. everybody thought it kind of sad when they found Louise in her room. They'd all put her down below their kind. Still some cried when she died this afternoon. Louise rode home on the mail train, somewhere to the south I heard them say. Too bad it ended so ugly. Too bad she had to go this way. Oh, the wind is blowing cold tonight. Good night, Louise, good night. Ah, Romeo, Romeo, we love what you do, but we don't love you. Picking at the Terminal Tavern, trying to make a living. Meanwhile, out at the edge of the crowd, a new face, a stranger in our midst. And I can tell by the bizarre, motley coloration of his leisure time habiliments. That is the shirt, which is of itself a polyester shantung metastasizing disaster of hibiscus, worn nattily above the tartan-plaid Bermuda walking shorts. Those in turn above the white-on-white silk socks randomly configured with raspberry fleur-de-lis. By these and other salient significations, I know that he is no ordinary tourist, but a true pilgrim. One of that gladsome clan of chortlers who applauds anew each time the aircraft of caprice touches down upon the runway of novelty. He say, "Play something by Johnny Cash." I said, "Baby, I'm a folk singer." He said, "Then play the Beer Barrel Polka." I said, "I'm a folk singer. As such, I traffic in universal truth. I'm a pusher of the categorical imperative. I am bullish on cosmic fiat. And I do not cotton to that country crap." He said, "Lay off the verbal flatulence and do something." I'm tired of this vainglorious rigmarole. So I played him a folk song. I played him John Henry. Then I saw the old boy watching me like a hawk. I decided to dazzle him with my guitar pick and I gave him one of these right here. He said, "Oh, pick it, white trash." Even Lawrence Welk likes to boogie. Down in the hen house on my knees, thought I heard a chicken sneeze, just the rooster saying his prayers, thanking the Lord for the hens upstairs. All the roosters praying and the hens are laying, little pullets just plugging along the best way they know how. Well, here I go talking about chickens again in front of sophisticated folks, and I don't know any more about chickens right now than I did 20 years ago when I started playing this tune at the Terminal Tavern, but I will tell you this. You want to buy chickens where I come from, there's one place to go, and that's Arundale's Purina store on the square in Snipes Ford. Chickens ain't all you can get at Arundale's. You can get philosophy with a metaphysical twist, a laissez-faire sentiment. Just go around the corner of the building, the loading ramp which fronts the city square, for it is here, upon this humble proscenium, that there has gathered time out of mind a distinguished circle of sages and rusticated philosophers who, through the assiduous cultivation of dialectic and discourse and the subtle implementation of aphorism and epigram, have put in place a philosophy of existence posited on one dazzlingly simple revelation. Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. Those old boys hang around that loading ramp and they don't ever pass judgment. They just make observations. Say things like, "It takes a compassionate man to covet a three-legged dog. And it takes a sorry son of a gun to name that dog Flat Tire." An Episcopalian is someone who will do anything for the love of God as long as it ain't tacky. A consultant is somebody who knows 49 different ways to make love and ain't got a girlfriend. Now, when I was just a little kid, My mama would always say to me, son, don't you be hanging around downtown in front of that loading ramp listening to those old men talk that talk. Why not, Mother, I said. Because you haven't got the judgment, was her reply. Well, how do I get the judgment, Mother, was my question. She said, judgment is not the kind of thing you just go out and get willy-nilly. Judgment is a thing which is conferred upon you by experience. What's experience, I asked. Never mind, came the reply. I went down to the loading ramp and I confronted my philosophers. I said, hey, what's experience? They hollered back, they said, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you really wanted. After that, I flat gave up on judgment. Just gave up. Some people go to school trying to learn how to teach, and some go to school trying to learn how to preach. If you can't preach without going to school, then you ain't no preacher, you're an educated fool, and that's all. And that's all. You better change your way of living for the good Lord's sake. That's all. Say it with me next time. Well, the man come from monkeys, some folks say, but the good book don't quite tell it that way. Well, if you believe that monkey tale like some people do, then I'd rather be the monkey brother than you, and that's all. And that's all. Yes, 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 sing it pretty. You better change your way of living for the good Lord's sake. That's all. Yes, 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 yes. Little song is through. I didn't necessarily mean to sing the song for you. If you don't like the way the little song goes, that's a mighty sure sign I've been a tromping on your toes, and that's all. And that's all. You better change your way of living for the good Lord's sake. That's all. And that's all. You have just got to understand truly what it was like to serve that 20-year apprenticeship in the Terminal Tavern. To have one's existence compassed by those raffish walls. Surrounded on all hands by an environment where there was a ceiling underslung with fishnets, encrusted with detritus. And streaming down through the steaming midnight air, a million shattered dreams that dangled like declensions of despair. And the daily drunks lined the walls like lemmings in repose. The festival booze assaulting their entrails like time-release suicide. And it was at times like this, and only like this, that I would gaze about me and see myself and yes, even those whom I loved in a different light, and it would seem as if we were nothing more or less than square dancers in some vast existential minefield. And There was always hope. Even if it were just a tenuous tongue of smoke. Follow the smoke out the swinging doors, across the parking lot, to the verge of the clearing, and find there a shadowy form. Near at hand, a bottle of backslider's wine. A fruit crate thrown, a silver string, a claw-like hand, and a song. How the melody is ragtime. The tone insouciant. The character braggadocious. And the singer? Who was the singer? Why, it was Snake Walker John, the seventh son of the Boogie Man, which made him some sort of a doctor. Well, I'm just the godfather to the prodigal son, and I move about by sleight of hand. You see me levitating here on Red Bug Road with all my goods in a Prince Albert can. I'm a well-known face along Columbia Trace and the dark side of the moon. They call me Snake Walker John, the medicine man, but I'll exorcise your demon pretty soon, pretty mama. I'm gonna exorcise your demon pretty soon. Say now. Well, when you've heard the ocean roar in a mustache cup and found the truth on the jailhouse walk, you'll find there's food in Spanish cigarettes and philosophy in idle talk. Well, I was weaned on a pickle till I learned how to smile. You see, the Lord gives me grace and the devil gives me style. He said, boy, you better start out like you can hold out, son, if you want to leave this world alive. Thank you, devil. Look out there, baby. Get back on that shelf, you horny son of a gun. I'm coming down the old Snake Walker to take this place over all for himself. I left my Florida home, like so many of us do, wondering, could I come home again? Went to many-towered Manhattan, followed my musical dream, endured, prevailed, moderately. Came back home, a survivor, peacock proud, became highly visible around Arundel's loading around. Up comes Still Bill, he say, it's you. Hi, Bill. Where you been? New York, Bill. Doing what? Working, Bill. Again, there were some of us around here didn't have to leave home to get work. And when I hear this kind of impacted lunacy, I'm reminded once again that there is but one haven, one true sanctuary, that we who traverse this vale of tears together can count upon, and that is to go back, back, back to those songs your mama used to sing you when you had an earache. Deep in a dungeon down at St. Augustine, Chief Osceola wept for his people and his golden land. His body had not slept. Then Wildcat said, "Oh, Chief, I beg you go and stand with me against our mortal foe." But Osceola held his proud head high, said, "Do this ere I die." Wildcat brother to the grassy waters, take the Seminole. There no white man can invade to leave you lying dead and cold. I shall not live among such evil men who mock this sign of truce, this flag of white, and honor not their given sacred word. My name will be the light that shines in every warrior's soul. In dark and hidden reaches, they will never drive us from our home, nor drain our blood like leeches. My spirit walks with those of you who die, and those of you who always will remain upon this blood-stained, blessed, flowered land. Must fight and fight again upon this blood-stained, blessed, flowered land. Must fight and fight again. Didn't sing that to me. She always sang Red Wing. Will McLean sang that song, and he's remembered here tonight as he was last year at his memorial service, and will be long remembered by all of us who like Florida folk music and love the sort of high sentiment for which Will was famous. And I wish you'd also recognize the presence of the conscience of folk music in the state of Florida, Miss Cousin Thelma Bolton. You know, Cousin Thelma grew up here in Gainesville, Florida, and is a part of this community, and she's living here now, and I know she'd like to hear from some of you. So now you don't all go at once, but she's living out at Bailey, and I know she'd like to hear from you. Just go one at a time, don't wear her out. If you go one at a time, she'll wear you out. Coming down the railroad track. Look yonder coming down the railroad track. That's the orange blossom special. Coming to bring my baby back. Bring her back now. Hopping the rail. Whistle now. And we'll tongue. Here it comes. There it went. I studied physics 2.5 years at the University of Virginia and never learned how to do anything more than make the Doppler effect on a flat-top guitar. Well, going down to Florida, and I'll get some sand in my shoes. Or maybe California, I'll get some sand in my shoes. I ride the orange blossom special.